Good morning. I still again have to figure out the how loud we want to have the music, but I think this is fine. And I'm almost ready to go. Almost ready to go, so great. I think we are ready to go. Good morning, afternoon, evening, everything all at once. We are live again for the next portrait, and this time it is a supervillain, as you probably have already seen from the thumbnail and the text. I hope everything is correct. I'm still pretty new to streaming on YouTube, so yeah, let me start the photograph. Hey Shakira, welcome. Low on the music, okay. I already made it a bit lower, but let's do it like something like this. It's always, I have always to look at it. It is a combination of how I configure it in the streaming software as well as in the player that I'm using itself. So I always have to modify it a little bit. Welcome and thanks for joining. I hope you're feeling well, and I hope Cricket is giving you some cuddles today. Or he sleeps, whichever you prefer. Okay, but I think we can more or less start. I've seen the I'm making a video out of it for a timeless video, and I noticed that and I also got the feedback that the video in the lower right corner that you're seeing right now is taking a lot of the picture. So let me make it a bit smaller. I like to have it there because people that are joining the stream for the first time there seem to be some stream issues. Let me see if I can fix it. Is the picture that's reaching you, is that fine? Is that okay? Do you have any issues? There might be an issue with I've increased the bitrate a little bit because it did not have the quality I wanted for the finished product, for the finished time-lapse video. So it says that the stream status is bad. So let me know if you experience any issues, if the quality is bad or whatever. Just fine. Okay, then let's continue for now. If something happens, I trust you guys to tell me. Okay, so not the right pencil. Let's start. This is more of a high energy soundtrack today. If you are annoyed by it, let me know and I will go back to the calmer beats. But I thought we are drawing a villain today, so why not have a little bit more energy, villain energy. Okay, a lot of hair. If you are a long-time watcher, you know how much this annoys me. And also, the hair is obstructing a whole lot of the features, so you do not have the... I normally mark the sides of the face. You cannot even see them. It's not that different from having, like the Thor I did, like having a tilt in the head that messes anyway with the proportions. But, well... this makes it a bit more difficult. We will we will define probably the vertical height, not the horizontal one this time. So we will do it a little bit differently. So the visible face goes right up onto the eye. We will use that later. But it is a little bit more than half. Something. I'm already smudging my paper. Perfect. Okay, so something like this. Let's say here's the one side, and about here is the other side. My God, how do I manage always to get my fingers this dirty already in the very beginning? I swear I am washing my hands before I start. I think some of my utensils are just really dusty. Lead dusty. Hey Kim! Sleep is for the weak. How can you be awake? That's not healthy. That is not healthy. That is not healthy. So, yeah, it still tells me that quality is not ideal. I am guessing that somebody else is rightfully so using also bandwidth, probably for work. So let me start on my chatting thingy to make sure I notice if there comes something very bad. Yeah, so Cameron, I would say it's time to run a few laps around the lake, isn't it? If it's 5. That's your favorite time to run around the lake, isn't it? I would imagine that running around the lake at sunrise would be pretty awesome. So we have the hair that goes into the face here. Looks like my subconscious has decided that this will not be that big of a portrait. But actually, it could also be an optical illusion right now. I feel pretty confident in the sizes we have selected though. Why do I always take the difficult ones? We have hair around here. We have, in general, the hairline is something like this. This is a bit too high energy for me, I have to admit. Okay. Yeah, no, Cameron, you did not stay awake for this stream. You did not even know that there would be a stream. I do not believe you on that one. Wait till sunrise to run, but it's so cold right now. Is it getting cold? He is getting really cold here, so... we have the measurement for the eye, right? We said that the eye was around this height. So we have here and here. Something like that. I so hope this works out. I think she is so amazing as Hela. Very small, or Hela for, I think, the American and English speaking crowd. So hot here. Yeah, you have summer, Shakira. Summer is coming. I told you, summer will be coming. I love the heat. I hate the cold. So we probably should always switch countries. And I come to Australia now, and you come over here to Germany, and then we switch back in somewhere around March, I would say. That could work. Headbanging, yeah. Not here. This is not a headbanging stream. I do not have the hair for headbanging, so let's continue with the cutie in the picture. Really? You know that the stream has a title, for example, and also this is a very famous woman. A very famous, classy woman. Or do you mean the character? So we're drawing. Let me explain. I'm feeling generous. Let me explain. This is Hela, sister of Thor and goddess of death. She rules over the realm of Hela, which is more or less their version of the afterlife. Not exactly hell, although it's called Hela. This is the afterlife, that the not Valhallan part of the afterlife. That's my understanding, at least. If somebody is here that is better versed in the lore of northern mythology, feel free to correct me. She's the one of the villains of the Thor Ragnarok. The one where I took the Thor picture also from. I read all your messages. Very tight, blah blah. I read that. Use your way to tell sunrise. I have read that. Where you at? I'm in New York NC. That's not meant for me. So headbanging, dance, with the cutie in the picture. That don't mean the girl you're that one I did miss. Yeah, you are. Oh, that one I actually missed. Hey, don't bash me. I am concentrating on providing you a beautiful picture. Therefore, it happens that I miss one or two messages sometimes. So, nose. Where is the nose? How do we find out where the nose is? Okay, mouth, not nose. So we take this, put it there, and then we have more or less the upper lip, the start of the upper lip. Yeah, 10 minutes later. Y'all just coming to make fun of me, aren't you? Perhaps I should make your sister a mod. Shuck. What do you think of that? What do you think of that? The delay is really a lot. There is the setting where I can make it less, supposedly, but I think when I'm drawing portraits, I can live with a little delay, can't I? I think it's for gaming. It's sometimes different, not even all the time different. I think. I think whatever I'm doing here is more like the... Have you seen Hellboy? This fish guy? Looks a little like that. I'm certainly not happy, but there's not much on the paper, so I guess that's fine. Now you have to sleep, right? I don't release you. I think you should stay. Okay. I'm just guessing now because I hate how it is turning up right now and I want this to develop a little bit faster. That is not the right nose. So that we can start to get a little bit of relief in terms of seeing that whatever we're doing is getting to a place where we actually want to be. You know? So we will correct all that later. But at least this looks a bit more like a face. I guess the curse of the a bit too small eye has already struck also. Looks like we have a better connection now also. That makes me a bit happier. So I should try one of these days the other paper that I have. I think it's better for colored pencils, but it might be interesting to see if or what it does to my LED pictures. It is a paper that is more or less completely smooth, where you do not have this paper structure, which might increase detail. Which is of course not really increasing detail, but stopping my messy style from sabotaging itself. If you understand what I mean. So you see that she's Thor's sister, she also has the blue eyes. It's always crazy how unsophisticated it looks in the beginning. I really need to make a really slow drawing at some point. Our drawing here will be covered by hair anyway, for a lot of it. So not that terribly important. Also, an interesting part will become the makeup she's wearing will become interesting. I will never pick on you again if you don't mod my sister. Promise. I will see if you can live up to that promise. That's a hard promise, and I also wouldn't want that. I think my skin is hard enough to take a little teasing. Cam always starts the trouble. That's like a fact of life. Thor's sister. All the gods are most of them are related. So it is probably it's a little bit of a spoiler, but it's also mythology. So the story is pretty hundreds of years old. So the question if you already consider it a spoiler. It's like more or less all Roman gods are also related. But she's a bit closer related to Thor than some other gods, yeah. I told you to watch the movies, you didn't listen. This looks terrible. It will, I promise, also myself right now, not only to you, that this will look better in not too much time. Because I feel like other than this little F up, the eye area already gets a little bit, not similar, not really recognizability, but a little bit more sophistication. That's the issue with the live stream. You cannot just throw it away without anybody noticing. But I've had like this with my Spider-Man one. Hey, Liana, welcome. Yeah, that's what I meant. They are. It's such an incest in all those pantheons, especially in the Greek one, but also in all the others. So, Milady, God of Death. I am fully expecting this to not be finished in one stream. And this will then be continued on Thursday, most probably. But I'm rushing a little bit through it right now. So I might be wrong, and also just because we don't know yet fully. Well, surely, whatever he. I did not put a part 1 into the title. So those are some godly maintained eyebrows. I thought about the horns. I actually looked up a picture with the horns. I do not have found a very good one in a quality that I wanted to do. There was a close-up, but you did not see a lot of the horns anyway. I thought I almost took that one, but it bored me a little bit. And if you want to put the full helmet on the picture, the face would be as big as this eye probably, so that the rest of the helmet fits on the paper. So I did not find a picture that I was really happy with, but that does not mean that I will perhaps go with it in the future and make another one. Because I love the design of the helmet and the complete outfit. Perhaps if I ever start with full body pictures, I will put that in there. We will see. Okay, I think for the hair is such an important part, we will just put in some of the strands here already. Weak enough that I can erase them, because this is very very early to even consider this. But well, and also just some of them. So okay, that has to be enough for now. I wanted to have that so I can have a little bit more reference for the nose actually. It starts to look somehow interesting. Not necessarily like herself, but it gets a little bit of a certain flair. I also drew the nose too straight. Yeah, I love the Percy Jackson novels. They are really fun. And they do not have that much to do with the movie. Although the movie is quite an interesting beast, to be honest. It is in parts pretty extremely accurate, but in other parts it is just completely off. For example, I did not understand how they could ever do a second movie at all, and they would definitely not been able to make all the books into movies, or they would have to change so much, because the whole prophecy, the whole premise is just completely broken from the first movie on. Try to read the books, but because I watched the movies, they ruined the book for me, and I never finished it. The books are... Oh, books are always better. If you do not necessarily, if you still would like to read something, it doesn't have to be the Greek pantheon, because Rick Riordan, the author of those books, he also did books about the Egyptian gods and stuff like that. So if you want to read something about those, and then perhaps after you have read a story in his style, you can perhaps go back to the Percy Jackson books. You know, I did that with when I tried to read Lord of the Rings the first time. I just thought it was so badly written, terrible style, really bad. I'm sorry if I am offending somebody, but while J.R.R. Tolkien can create amazing worlds and languages and stuff, he is not a very good writer. So you read it for the story, not for the style of his writing. Very biblical, very dry, very boring. You have to fill in most with your imagination. And I had a really big issue with that when I tried to read it the first time. So I started with The Hobbit, which is a bit more palatable. And after that I could go into the full Lord of the Rings, and I even read the Silmarillion then. You cannot always do that though, Shaq, right? You cannot always read the book and then go into the movies. I actually am normally advocating it the other way around. I think you cannot enjoy, or you can very seldomly enjoy a movie if you have read the book. For me, the other way around, it always works. I can always read the book afterwards and appreciate it in its own right. I most of the time do not love the movies that much if I before that read the book. But that's how it works for me. It's totally legitimate if it's the exact other way around for you. You just need to know that, and then you can work like that, right? Because there's so many great stories out there, and there's so many good movie adaptations that are in their own right good, which change stuff but still make for a really entertaining and good movie and good story. So books are always better. Yeah, that's how I feel. Although I enjoy movies more, but stories that come from books always are losing something. There are, however, stories that you cannot tell as well in a book medium as in a film. For example, Moulin Rouge, which I have to watch again sometime soon. Which is just such a visual experience. You would not be able to tell it in any way, shape or form with a similar impact in a book. Exactly. That's how I do it, Liana. But I can imagine that it is the exact opposite for others. Okay, so we're starting to get the picture a bit more interesting. We do not have achieved any kind of similarity at all. I'm not entirely sure what we have to do or which point we have to reach until we do. Probably have to put more detail into the eyes. I mean, after I've put a little bit of detail into the mouth, let's take a step back and analyze her face a little bit, where the special Cate Blanchett characteristics are lying. First I want to put a little bit of shading into the mouth area. Let me switch to a less energetic soundtrack. If you threaten to fall asleep, let me know. But as long as you're not leaving my stream, you can also sleep. Okay. This side of the mouth is much darker, but still not a very sharp line of contrast. Okay, you can. I'm not reading the chat right now. I'm very sorry about that, but I will get to it in a second after I've shaded this mouth. But up until now, up until then, you can already let me know in the chat, if you want to, what you think is characteristic for Cate Blanchett. What are the parts of her face that make her her? Is it the eyes? Is it the nose? Of course, it's always all of the above, but which are the defining things? In Al Pacino, for example, it is the nose, it's the eyes and eyebrows. That's an easy one. What is it with our goddess of the death here? Of death. Of the death. I have to get one of those highlight white sticks that I can use for additional highlights. You know, those gel pens or something. Okay, so let's see. As long as you're willing to turn it off at chapter 32, I'm in. Ah, Moulin Rouge, okay. The way I see it, that is, the movies are other people's imagination being portrayed, whereas when I read books first, I get to use my own imagination without other influences. That is completely right. The thing is, though, that if you first read the books, your picture won't have any similarity with what is portrayed in the movie, and you will, or now let me say it in with eye, because that is how I feel and how my brain works with that. I sometimes have issues with the adaptations that are then quite far away from how I imagine it, and I cannot really get engaged in it because it just feels so wrong. I don't know if that is something you can feel, but that's how I feel. Can't fall asleep, need to make lunch. Yeah, lunch is always important. Cheekbones, that's a good point. They always are, and I have not drawn them in at all yet. Cheekbones. You were thinking the same thing? Yeah. Her eyes as well, she has quite distinct eyes. Yeah, that's also true. Cheekbones, eyes, and to a part, the nose, which I'm not 100% sure if it is her original nose. But with Hollywood, whose is? And on the other side, this is really important. So, cheekbones. Let's try to put in some cheekbones. Those will get quite dark. We will take a little bit more time with those later. I am not very happy yet. I hope we will be able to remedy the situation. The chin is also an interesting shape, at least in this picture. That is not 100% easy to capture. It starts to get a sliver of recognizability. Not really recognizability, but similarity. A sliver. Sliver. I like that word. Okay, you know what? We will go in with more contrast. That's the word. I think I overdid it a little bit with the eyebrow at this point. I think for this version of Cate Blanchett, that is also very important. But it's interesting how the eyebrows, it's not only in the small picture if you look at it. I think it's very much on purpose with the makeup she has. That the eyebrows are melting into the general eye makeup. No, I think it is in this size. That the eyebrows are vanishing in the makeup around the eyes without a lot of even change in textures. They look very smooth. It is a very good makeup. I have to look up some Hela cosplay. There are probably pretty amazing Hela cosplays out there. So we are trying right now to get a little bit more detail into the shading here around the eyes. And get to a certain, so dark as I can go with this pencil, which is not very dark. But then we go in with a darker one and expand on that. This is really dark here, but I do not want to use this too dark because, as I already often said on stream and in videos, if you use this hard lead too strongly, it is like a protective layer over the paper and you cannot really build on it anymore with other lead, and then you are stuck at a certain level of grayness and can't reach the darker tones. Somebody's banging clang in the background. I think one of the dogs was just eating, and they are quite noisy when they eat. Let me de-seal one of my ears, because with these headphones on I cannot really hear anything around me. I've actually tried to use smaller ones that are connected via Bluetooth. This can also be connected via Bluetooth actually, but I do not really get a reliable connection. So I'm very terrified about going as dark as she requires. But we will do it. We have to. We owe it to her. So this is a much darker, you see already. Everything that you do with this is automatically much blacker, has much more black tone to it, not this silvery lead tone. You don't see a lot of detail in the eyebrows, but that is there. We should show a little bit. that it is hair, although that is too much already. That was too much, I think. But let's do the rest first. So we start in the eye, I would say. Might be the shadow's fault, but I think the nose looks kind of crooked. Yeah, it is. It has a little bit of a bigger bridge. It has a more pronounced nose bridge, but it's a very small tip and nostrils that make me think there might be some talented doctor's handiwork involved. Okay, now it gets interesting. We have this dark line all around the eye. I've never really consciously drawn makeup. Of course, all of the characters that I am drawing have a certain amount of makeup on the face. When I'm talking about superheroes. But often it is, the makeup is designed to look natural, as if those people would look naturally like those superhuman beings. But in this case, it's very obvious makeup, and that's something I do not have that much experience with. Especially when I'm talking about it, because is this eyeliner that I've drawn here because it's a line around the eyes? But is that what you do with eyeliners? I don't know. I don't have to draw it, but it's still awkward to talk about stuff like that if you don't know what you're doing. You know? My friends, not sure if I will even reach a point where I'm okay with it during this first part of the stream, because for now I'm pretty unhappy. There's one thing that always helps, and that's at least to make the picture as it is a bit more pleasant to look at, and that is the eyelashes. It does not necessarily make this suddenly be Cate Blanchett, but it always helps with making it look like more of a actual human being. It's not what I can say here, but an actual person. Are gods considered persons? I'm not even sure there. This is driving me nuts. Okay, but eyelashes. Let's see. I'm not sure how long we will do them. We will something like that. Talked last time about this. If you spread them out in the beginning a little bit, and make sure that you have their the perspective on them correctly, more or less, so that you feel comfortable with it. It makes it much more easy to fill in between, make it look believable. Because if you just go from left to right with eyelashes, you tend to draw them too parallel and do not do the change in perspective on the eyelashes justice. I'm not happy, but it's to a certain degree works in this case, so. It doesn't look that bad, does it? The non-capital G gods are definitely persons. I mean, most of them are personifications of elements. I guess you're right. In their job description as personifications of certain things, they probably are persons. So this is the eye. It goes into the right direction, I think. So, I cannot just... Of course I can. I can do whatever I want to. Ha! I will go into the other side and do more or less the same thing there, although it is covered by hair. We will try to English is hard. Don't know how you English guys make it. Talk English the whole day. I'm doing those videos now for half a year, I think. Still so far away from speaking fluid English. So this is more or less completely dark. So let's just go for it. And now show the more dark areas to show that it's not just a simple flat surface. We also have to consider that on this side the eye is much darker. There is no real white in there, so we have to also make sure that we capture that. So we have to make this darker, this eye. Then on the other side, and we have to darken the white a lot. So this will look not perfect until we have until we draw the hair in, but I will put the hair on top, so we're not there yet. I think it improves. I think we creep slowly but surely. We creep closer to Cate Blanchett, which sounds very creepy when I think about it. Sorry if I missed the answer. I'm using my phone to watch because my mood ring toilet seat. Mood ring toilet seat. I want one. It is so amazing. What answer? I was born in an English-speaking country and I can barely speak English on the best of days. It is a hard language. Well, if I consider, I've learned it from TV and from reading, so can't be that bad. There are worse languages out there. I think we are creeping closer. Creepily creeping closer. I'm starting to like the detail here in the eye. I'm not 100% happy with everything in the eye and around the eye, but this part, I think that's pretty close. It helps us with the having a little bit of a similarity here. So always there's a question how much contrast we put into the general skin shading, and I am hesitant to put too much into it, especially in light of the makeup. We want to have that really pop, so we probably won't put too much detail and too much darkness into the rest of the skin shading. You don't really need it. I'm more of a minimalist in that area anyway. And it's not really required, in my opinion. I like this a bit more stylized, flatter approach, or not flat, but highlighted. Right? It looks a lot better. We are getting to a point where I don't have to cry myself to sleep anymore tonight if I leave it like this until next stream. you feel me, Shaq. I was also very nervous in the beginning. There are some pictures that really made me nervous, like Spider-Man. There I really thought I had to restart. This now. Some faces do that to you. And that's also one of the reasons why I have this little preview window down there to show new people in the stream, or to give them hope that this will become better. I think we have to we have to go a bit deeper into the. We have to pronounce this little nose protrusion. I have no idea how to call it. A bit more. There's also a couple of shadows here from the hair, which we have to be aware of, but we will put that in later. Yeah, I'm not sure. Still not sure. I do not get the recognizability to a point where I'm really fully actually happy with it. Might be that the hair is required for that. But let's shade in more of the general face, because there's still a lot to do. I did not make that self advertisement yet today, so if you're new to the stream and watching right now and perhaps are not able to stay with us the complete time, as this will not be finished today anyway, there will always be a time-lapse version of the video, so subscribe and you will be alerted. I will probably release the one for this next Monday. Yesterday I released Thor, and I have also a lot of other time-lapse videos of my past videos already up, so check them out. I'm happy that you're here. I'm very thankful for your visit. And in the more recent videos I've started to put in some comedic, you are the judge of that, skits where I fake some interviews with the people that I draw. They won't be, it will probably be quite short for Hela though. She doesn't have the screen time that a Loki had, for example, or a Thor. I had to sift through a lot of material for those. Hela will be a bit easier and faster to do, I think. Although faster, not easier. Still to try to come up with some kind of story with a handful of citations I can use. So. So we have hair here. She looks a little bit like a pug in this area right now, because it looks like a pug. But that's because you don't see the whole you know what? It will look better with hair. Still have to do this makeup part here. And we will also invent some eyelashes that I don't see, but we will still put them in. We have to be a bit more careful though. As if we do them too sharp, we give them too much of a sharp outline, then you might see them through the hair. I also have this amazing, I will probably not use it this stream, but next stream, I have this amazing Blackstone pencil that's just so incredibly dark. I will use that again for some areas to specially anti-highlight them. But I will probably do that at the end to make sure that it's the right amount of highlights and the right highlights, dark lights or whatever. I think we're getting a certain resemblance. So this would take a lot of fine-tuning. Also in the next stream, especially in the next stream, in terms of showing makeup versus skin tone and stuff like that. But we need the whole picture for that. To see, do we have to go darker in certain areas of the skin to show the shadows? It's always an interesting, let me try to say it positively, an interesting challenge to, if you have something like this eye color, this black, because with pencil to really show the difference between shadow and an actual color that is added to the face, even if it is red or something, you have to translate it into black and white anyway. That's always a bit of a challenge. So that makeup does not look like a shadow suddenly, that the viewer's eye cannot really comprehend why there should be a shadow, because there's no shadow, but it looks like one. And the same in the other way around, so that an actual shadow in the face does not suddenly look like a like makeup. So the animals, yeah. Yeah, lady is not here right now, fortunately. I have to say she's quite cozying up the last couple of days, and she normally, now when I'm not sitting in this chair, is claiming it as her own. And it's difficult to get her off it. And she also, if I do not want her on my lap, she does not really care. I sometimes call her our little tank, which sounds funnier in German. Unser kleiner Panzer. She's just head through walls sometimes. And if I am allowing the dogs to go outside, just a quick walk into the garden so they can relieve themselves. And we do not always want the cat to go outside, but she doesn't care. She just takes, she just sprints, and if you're in her way, she just runs through you. So she's our little panzer, our little tank. She can be pretty evil to the dogs. I think yesterday in the evenings, for some reason, she just attacked the big one. Perhaps he looked funny at her, I don't know. She can get really mean. Exactly. She's a little bit like the mutant Cannonball, our fat little cat. She just becomes unstoppable and indestructible once she reaches full speed for some reason, and just powers through. Really, you cannot really stop her if you do not close the door. It's pretty remarkable. The MCU is actually an AU of Lord of the Rings where Galadriel got the ring. That is a something that probably somebody already poured into some kind of fanfiction. I could imagine. I actually thought, because I just, Cate Blanchett is just amazing and she looks great in all the roles, and the banshee form of Galadriel in the movies is also just amazing. I actually thought about making a series only of Galadriel, of Cate Blanchett portraits in different roles. But I might be the only person interested in a lot of Cate Blanchett portraits, so that probably won't happen. Doesn't mean that I won't draw another picture of her in the future. It will always, especially in the nose area, it will look strange until I draw the hair, so you know what I'm doing right now. I'm drawing a little bit of the hair. Let me do that, because I think then we are done with the stream anyway for today. So let me repeat my little advertisement. There will be a second stream planned for the day after tomorrow. I am getting medical treatment right now, which causes me to somehow have to postpone, or just also not being home in time. But Tuesdays and Thursdays are short treatment days, so I should manage. So expect the second stream to be the day after tomorrow. Where we will finish this one. And yeah, then the finished video. Of course, the full live streams will always be available to you if you want to pick it up, watch the whole thing. If not, there will be, like there are already, a lot of time-lapse videos of past portraits, and this one will be most probably released next Monday. Okay, you already see it helps. I think we will do the same with those areas here to show that there will be hair. It will actually make it a bit easier for us also when we pick up next time. This is not everything we'll put in these areas though. It is not full enough, but it only makes really sense to add much more to it once we are also looking at the rest of the hair, you know. Here there will be more hair in between, because it is not extremely tidy. It does not look that tidy in this area, and that is on purpose. but a lot of it we can only fill in believably once we look at all the hair. So let's put in a little bit of shade on the forehead. Can finally consider a bit of the shadow here. As I said, I won't overdo it too much with the skin shading. So the forehead will remain quite uniform, let me say. I won't overdo it with the detail work there. We will perhaps revisit it anyway next time. Okay. I'm feeling much better. It still is difficult to imagine the whole piece without the hair. Let me perhaps actually thinking if I think I will draw the outline of the hair. We will do a freehand approach for this stream because it will be changed anyway. So something like this, then we have, it is very wild on purpose, I would think. So let's just put a little bit of information there. The hair goes somewhere like this. Then we have a little bit of the uniform also visible, but that is for next time. Okay, I think we managed to salvage the situation. It was not very hopeful I was not very hopeful in the beginning. We made a lot of progress in terms of getting it to a point where you somehow see a little bit of resemblance. It will grow with the hair and then with some details and some more contrast that we put in there. But that's all we will be doing for today. Let me do the manual zoom once more for a couple of details. It helps with the hair, right? Because it gives you the information there is something that is actually the reason why the eye is a bit darker. We have to still fill in a little more, a lot more. We have still to invent some cool new words like a little more. We have to find out what that even means, and then it will look even better. So there will be a lot of, I think we will do a lot with the dark stone, the dark stone pencil next time. As a little small preview, let me just give it a few strokes. It's really more for accent work, so we will not We will also fill in complete areas with it, but it's, especially right now, it's more for accent work and to show that we need to get a lot darker in the details here. Ay. Okay, perhaps not the time now. Okay, so, good. Yeah, the squeaky pencil. Great. That's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. The final one, the final one, we do not have to talk about the final one because we have to finalize this first. Second part, the day after tomorrow, and then the final time-lapse video probably on Monday next week released. Thank you very much for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Sub if you don't want to miss out on anything in the future. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time. Goodbye.